Holy moly, guys. We have some serious truth popping off right now. Oh my gosh. I just heard some of the most damning evidence that I have heard to show what is going on in this situation with CPS nationwide. We have yet even more clues as today a bombshell report was released by someone who's going super hard, Patrick Howley. Patrick Howley, we've seen him do a lot of stuff with the Epic Times. He dropped a report that deals with Pelosi Jr. And a woman from California that I believe he was dating that he used CPS to attack. Howley came out with some damning evidence. Y'all need to share this around the nation right now. I think we're getting ready to see some of the explosive things fall apart that God is going to use to get rid of CPS altogether. I believe God is going to show the connections in those reports that we've seen from Timothy Homeseth and others about the 2,100 children saved in California. I think you're going to see that there's way more credibility to that story than the news wants to show. Let me pray real quick. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your blessings, Father. Thank you for your love and mercy. Thank you for your truth. Thank you for allowing us to be able to stand up and fight this wickedness and showing us new things. You are an amazing and wonderful God. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. So I need you guys to share this everywhere because I can't really share it right now like I want to. But, okay, so what was found is that Nancy Pelosi's son was dating a woman, dealing with a woman. He got pissed at her pretty much. They had a little battle, a little fight going. And he told her, she reported him for things he was doing wrong when it came to the state. And so pretty much he was breaking laws, right? In business and stuff. So she said she was going to tell on him. So she told on him, the woman he was with, and he literally told her. Patrick read the messages, Patrick Howley, the reporter. And I'm not trying to just go detail word for word with everything that happened with Patrick Howley and exactly what was said. I want to get to the big picture of this so we can see the connections that I told you guys about when I discussed Timothy Homeseth with you and the things that I'm seeing and the things that we saw with the explosions being taped from the manholes up underground. And the funny thing is I brought up to you guys how Maxine Waters, who's in California, said Trump is trying to have us killed. She distinctly said that. Now, the funny thing is that they were openly impeaching Trump until right around the time, within like the day or two, that Timothy Homeseth, the reporter, said that they found 2,100 kids underground in dumbs or bunkers, and that government officials had them under there, and that they were stolen. We now find out that it's reported that many of those kids who were stolen came directly from CPS, like we keep hearing from the feds, like we keep hearing in reports around the nation. The FBI, the Fed, Trump's counsel from the HHS, they're all saying that they believe that CPS something to do with trafficking. 88% of the kids found in trafficking, a report came out in recent history saying that those kids, it was 86 or 88% of them come directly from CPS. So we know this now, right? So I want you guys to think kind of deeply, because once it was said that 2,100 kids were found, the impeachment of Trump went underground. Maxine Waters immediately came out talking about Trump was trying to have her killed, but tried to blame the KKK and all this and all that. And I don't believe that's really the case. What I believe is really the case is that Trump knows that they've been trafficking kids. Trump knows that, like, he keep talking about the Bidens and the Pelosi family. He talks about how crooked they are. Things. And so you got to stop and say, okay, so what exactly does Trump know? And does he always come out with the stuff that he knows right away? He doesn't. He holds stuff back and tries to be strategic about how he brings an attack. Well, what was crazy as heck today, sorry, my neck needs to get cracked, came out and found that Pelosi's owned a real estate business. Now, the real estate business that they own actually holds the lease for entity that takes care of business like with CPS, the family court, and all of those different entities. They're getting their land leased to them by the Pelosi's. And Pelosi sent out a text message to this lady saying, listen, CPS is going to take your kids. I'm going to tell them and they're going to get your kids. So now her kids are in CPS care. Now, the thing is that what's strange is that if Pelosi was dealing with her over time and he never reported her to CPS, then out of nowhere, Pelosi starts dealing with her. Pelosi gets told on by her. And then he right away goes and gets her kid taken, sends her a message saying he's going to get her kids taken, but doesn't tell everybody that the building that CPS rents for $44,000 a year is rented from the Pelosi family. Okay, so the office that CPS is in, that he used to attack a woman to take her kids from her because he was pissed, his family business, one of his family's businesses, owns the property that CPS rents, and he's using them as a political weapon. You guys telling me that when we try to talk to Congress and Congress don't want to hear what we have to say? Congress don't want to talk to us about what's going on, but we know now that Pelosi, who is trying to get Trump impeached. And you think about this. I told everybody this and people didn't understand what I was saying. They were saying, Dave, we don't get it. Or, man, David, you don't know what you're talking about. Think about this. Didn't I tell y'all when I talked to you about the whole situation with Trump being impeached that they tried to impeach him once he decided to start attacking pedophilia and arresting pedophiles? Now, let me tell y'all something about this company that the Pelosi's rented their building to, their office space. So this entity that deals with all of CPS drama and family court and all that, it actually had the top dog in the entity, right? Guess where he is right now? Patrick Howley exposed today how this man is in prison for, I believe, 5 cases of lewd sexual conduct with kids. So this guy was the top guy, the top dog in the company that deals with CPS and family court. He's in prison for lewd sexual conduct and different things like that with kids. Kids, right? Supposed to be taking care of kids. That's what your entity is for. It's funny that Pelosi wants to go after Trump as he's destroying more pedophile rings than anything in this nation. I mean, any president that ever existed in this nation. Yes. So Paul Pelosi used CPS against the mom. But his family rents out the property to CPS, or to this entity that deals with CPS and family court. So you got to think about it, guys. The head guy in that entity is in prison for lewd sexual conduct with kids. Okay, so we got to think about this, guys. So Howley said that his source, who tied together all that information, also found that it looks like something is going on that would make it seem like there's a pedophile ring happening. Now, isn't it crazy that Trump, supposedly from Timothy Holseth, allegedly found or used the military to get 2,100 kids from underground in California, where Pelosi and them have been trying to go after Trump? But Pelosi and them now, we know, has ties to CPS entities, which we know CPS entities have an 88% percentage rate of the kids that they find in trafficking come from them. So think about this. If we know now that CPS has been involved in trafficking, the head man in the agency that the Pelosi's business is renting properties to is in prison for doing lewd sexual acts involving kids. Okay? So the guy who's supposed to be running the show is in prison for these types of acts against children. Pelosi rented space to that entity. Pelosi's son, when he wanted to go after this girl who, he was upset with and fighting with, that he was dealing with, he used CPS and told her, CPS gonna get your kids, and CPS got her kids. So we got to look and say, how is it that CPS has all this power and that the legislature don't want to fight when it comes to dealing with them, but now we're finding out that powerful people in the legislature are making money directly off the entities that are dealing with CPS. As a matter of fact, she had to put it on her financial disclosures about that company. So, guys, when we hear Timothy Holmseth saying that government actors are involved with the raping of children, it's starting to look more and more every week like he was telling the truth. It's starting to look more and more every week like he definitely understands exactly what he's saying. And I believe that he is 100% correct. Please share this with everybody, guys. This is so super important. Because if we find out that the politicians are in this scam of stealing kids, and they can be used to take kids around the country, okay? If Pelosi is doing it in her state, I guarantee you're going to find that it's highly likely and probable that people are doing it in other states. And so we need to get to looking, guys. We need to find out who these buildings are owned by, because we keep asking these politicians like, hey, you see that CPS is trafficking. You see they're taking kids. You see they're doing things that are against the law. And the politicians want to stand back and not do anything about it, or say, well, that's not my expertise. That's not my specialty. We need to be looking, guys, and seeing if they are connected to the companies that are getting deals with these entities. Now, I know for a fact there's a lot of people in Arizona in government that are doing foster care or own homes where they got multiple kids in each home and stuff of that nature, That's definitely happening. But the problem is that a lot of us aren't talking about it, so people are getting away literally with murder. Like, you got these agencies that are losing kids. You take kids from their family with no evidence, then you get them and you lose them, and you think because you are part of a business that you don't have to tell people what happened to the kids. See, that's what they're doing, guys. They got these private entities, and these entities that are ran by people in the political world. And what they're doing is that they're allowing kids to be lost or stolen or giving them away. And what ends up happening is that they want to tell us, well, we don't discuss our litigation, or we don't discuss what's going on with the outside world. Well, the thing is that the people are to have sovereignty over the entities and the agencies that they create to handle their business. So you can't just say, well, we're not going to, what the heck is going on up here? We're not going to follow the law. We're going to do what we want to do. And because we have contracted entities, we're going to decide what we tell or not. Right? We're going to decide what we tell or not. That's what's been happening, is that certain entities have tried to decide what they're going to discuss, what's going to happen, what they're going to tell when it comes to kids being lost. You know, they're like, well, you know, we decided that we're just going to hide the fact that kids are being raped. You know, we decided that we don't have to talk about this. We decided we don't have to do that, you know. One association, I remember we did a video on how some of the women in the organization were saying that, hey, we don't have to tell about children being raped. We don't have to report it to the guardian ad litems or to whoever, because, or to the police or something of that nature, because, what's up, Big Rob? Because they're resilient and they can recover and all this and all that or whatever. So they're choosing what they're going to tell, what they're not going to tell. They're choosing what stories they'll let get out and what stories they won't. And so they feel like if somebody in these agencies rape the kids, that the kids can bounce back and they can recover, so it's not that big of a deal. And that's just not right. That's not legit, you know? You can't do that type of stuff and think that the people just gonna sit down and just ignore it. And so we have to stand up as a people and start to do something about this situation. We need to stand up and start to talk about it. And like I said, guys, if Nancy Pelosi is dealing directly, right, directly through her business with the company that deals with CPS and all of the issues with juvenile court and family court and all that stuff, and then Pelosi Jr. tells, Paul Pelosi tells his girlfriend or ex, hey, after she tells on him about things he's done wrong, I'm gonna get your kids taken, and then he does it. We know that CPS can be used as a weapon. Now, if CPS is used as a weapon against her, and we know that Trump has been arresting pedophiles and things of that nature, they have made reports telling. Now, you got to think about this now. Is there something more that Trump is doing than we know? Because Trump has made reports. Trump's administration came out saying that they wanted more information on CPS trafficking. Also, Trump's administration had the Fed come out and say that 88%, it was 86 or 88% of the children who are in trafficking came directly from CPS and foster care. Okay? So now there's a whole lot of different things that are going on that we need to be looking at now, because it seems like Trump knows a lot more than what we even gave him credit for. Because he's made these executive orders talking about persons and freezing their assets that are involved in trafficking. Do y'all remember that? His executive order talked about persons, associations, foundations, etc. in trafficking. Pelosi and them are renting out space to entities that deal with CPS, and then Pelosi is using CPS against someone who exposed him for doing wrong, and they took the kids immediately. Okay? So, understanding that, we need to go and look into all the government buildings. I'm going to look for Arizona. We need to look at the buildings that hold CPS and who have these contracts. They're getting paid $44,000 a year from that entity, and we don't know what other family foundations and other foundations of the such type nature they're involved with either. But these people are dirty, guys, and we need to realize that we've been having all these government officials. That's right, I know those executive orders were for the kid situation with CPS and foster care and all that. He's just lining them up bit by bit and going after the people. But what else is super, super, super deep is we look at the fact that Timothy Homseth came out talking about these things, right? And now Patrick Howley is a totally independent guy from them. And he's coming out connecting Pelosi, CPS in California, how they use CPS to go get kids. But think about this. When we talk about the Fed and child support, right, they get 66% of the matching funds they get, they give to the states, and it gets broken up between the attorneys and the judges and stuff, and then some of it goes to the general fund. But what we don't usually count is that 34% of the money in the doubling of the funds in child support are not accounted for because they must stay with the Fed. They tell us about the 66% they give to the state of matching funds. Matching funds mean that it would be 100%. 66% goes to the state. That means that 34% stays with the Fed. So are these federal legislative body members dipping and dabbing in Title 42 contracts to make money as private contractors and private people or different trade names, and at the same time using CPS to take kids to make them money, because they know the more kids that they have in service, the more money they make. So you think about that. You think about how they're connected. We're seeing these different connections between government officials and CPS. CPS has been given this fake belief that they have the authority to take kids, and the federal government has tried not to look at it. They have actively tried to just let it go by. And so what we need to do is jump in, guys, start doing research. We need to start looking at those who are giving us alternative media and say, maybe they really know much more than what it is that we know, because many times people say, well, you can't believe them because what they're saying just doesn't sound reasonable, or what other source is telling us. Well, it keeps getting piled on more and more and more that they were likely telling us the truth. All right. So we need to start paying attention and listening, because it is nuts. I will get with you guys soon. I'm going to be doing some research on some of those things that came out. Please share this like crazy. God is showing, guys, that the government actors who have been tripping out on Trump may have some connections to CPS and the trafficking of kids, which also may be the reason why they started going after him in the first place, and why they can't stand to have him in office, because he has arrested more pedophiles than anybody else in our history when it comes to presidents. On top of that, we know that Patrick Howley, once again, unconnected to many of these other news outlets that we have talked about or talked to, we must realize that Patrick Howley, his researcher, came out, his contact said that he believes he might be seeing some type of trafficking ring. So that's an independent investigator, not connected to Homeseth or nobody in his circle, right? Not connected to Robert David Steele or anybody like that, coming out and saying we might have a trafficking ring or something of that nature because of what they're seeing with the money. So y'all better start paying attention. Like, God is blowing this stuff up. He's showing us the truth. He's opening doors we could have never found ourselves. We better really, really, really wake up. And is there a way to email this video? Is there a way to email the one that we're on now, or what? Or the video that he has? It's on Twitter. I shared it on my page a couple of posts ago. So it's up there. So guys, man, it is going nuts. Like, every time it seems like stuff calms down a little bit, God is blowing something else out the water. So y'all check it out. The video that I got put up, you won't believe it. It is nuts. And I'm going to be doing some more research. I just wanted to let y'all know this. It is crazy. Stuff is blowing up in our favor, y'all. I will catch y'all later. Y'all be cool. Peace.